So we'll approach the Warrior 2 pose from our downward facing dog by lifting the right leg up and taking a step in between the hands before lifting the arms up into a higher lunge. And we'll open it out by placing the back foot down and sweeping the right arm forwards and the left arm behind you. Now as you come into it potentially for the first time, you might want to give the arms a little shake, the shoulders a roll. And just make sure your hands are extending away from each other in equal measure. Feel the chest open, relax the shoulders, and let's make sure that they're stacked on top of the hips, so rather than leaning forward too much. Gazing over the leading hand, so this time on the right hand, maybe look down towards your right knee, and just make sure that the knee is stacked on top of the ankle. You may want to think of pushing the knee towards the little toe of that leading foot, just looking after the ligaments inside the knee. Thinking of the back foot, make sure you're pressing down quite hard on the little toe, the outside of the left foot. Now with the gaze, let's take it over the leading hand and breathe nice and slowly. Now you'll notice it's a pretty decent chest opener. You can feel the muscles in the upper body helping to prop up the arms. You'll notice it's a deep hip opener as well. And just thinking of the legs, you've got some serious strength going on in the quads on the leading leg. You've got strength in the glutes as well to support. And then thinking of the back leg, the quads on that left leg are going to get a decent stretch whilst also engaging. The pose can be pretty challenging if you're staying in it for a little bit, so just make sure to keep the focus, keep the gaze steady, and make sure that the breath is soft and slow. So thinking of reversing your warrior, maybe look down at your feet first. Make sure the heel of the right foot is in line with the arch of the left foot. Gazing over your leading hand, let's flip the palm and reverse it. So we'll reach back nice and high, right arm goes high. The left hand can be placed on the left thigh. Keep the deep lunge in the right knee. Make sure the knee stays on top of the ankle. Now notice the back foot as well. Make sure you're spreading the weight of your body evenly across your legs. Taking your right arm nice and high, perhaps look up to the right hand. And you can just think of the kind of deep stretch that the muscles in between the ribs are getting right now. It's a side bend rather than a back bend. Looking up to your hand. Taking a few nice and slow breaths. So try not to place too much weight on the back thigh with the left hand here. You don't want to use it for support. If you want to change the pose a little bit, you could sweep the left hand round the back and tuck the fingers inside the right thigh for the bind. Looking up to the leading hand from there. If you wanted to make the pose a little bit more dynamic, you could even think of coming onto the tiptoes of the front foot, lifting the right heel off the ground here. And a further option to make it even a little bit more dynamic still, you could lift the left arm up towards the ceiling as well as the right. And wherever you are, just make sure that the breath is slow and the gaze is steady. So similar to your Warrior 2, it's a decent hip opener. The quads are getting engagement whilst they're lengthening. Your hamstrings are getting a decent stretch. And as mentioned earlier, the intercostals, the muscles in between the ribs, are getting a nice stretch too. Make sure you remember to engage the core, think of sucking in the tummy, and try not to lean too much onto the back side, the left hand here. You want to reach high with the right hand, keep the deep lunge in the front knee. So for our Warrior 1, we'll take a step in between the hands and immediately place the back foot down. You can lift up the arms above the head from there. And just take your time to adjust yourself. So you want to make sure the right knee is above the right ankle. Now with your Warrior 1, the back foot wants to be pointing to the front left corner of your mat. So you may need to take a step, perhaps a little bit out to the side. Now if possible, hips want to be square to the front of the mat. Shoulders want to be square to the front of the mat as well. You can think of lifting up through the little fingers of the hands. Suck in the tummy. Keep the core engaged. It's a little bit more challenging than the high lunge, given the fact that the back foot wants to be down rather than heel off the ground. But as with other standing poses, it's a decent hip opener. You're going to open the chest, strengthen the arms, and it's a good test of the focus as well. Keep the gaze steady. So from your downward facing dog, lift the right leg high. Gaze forwards and step in between your hands. Place the back foot down and lift the arms above the head, coming into your warrior one. Making sure the hips and the shoulders are square to the front. Before opening it out to your warrior two, arms go wide. Extending your arms away from each other in equal measure. Feel the chest open, stack the shoulders on top of the hips. And let's gaze over the right hand, flip the palm and reverse it. Reach nice and high with the right arm, keep the deep lunge into the right knee. And as you look up towards the palm of the right hand, think of enjoying that side bending stretch, stretching out the muscles in between the ribs, keeping the quads in the right leg nice and strong, and then enjoying a kind of stretch into the left leg as well. Look up to the right hand and think of cartwheeling your arms down to the ground with the next exhale. Stepping back lightly to your plank, and there's a vinyasa for you there. Exhale, go down, inhale, push forwards, and exhale, push back. Downward facing dog.